Hey toy fans, Aaron here, and today we're going to check out the black, almost said 6-inch, just out of habit, but the black Series Ree-Yees. It's the 3 3/4 inch version. Came out in 2013. Do something a little bit different here. Instead of showing the packaging at the table, I'm going to just highlight that here real quick. Obviously it's on black packaging. You got the orange bars on here. Little write-up on the back about the character. Some nice sketch work. But the big problem I had, and really everyone, and the stores eventually started taping them on just out of precaution, and the reason why I'm not going to do the normal look at the table is because these just easily kept falling off the cards at the store shelves. This was one that was an opener for me. It just hadn't opened yet, but kind of just wanted to show that on camera, how they were constantly falling off the cards, even just hanging there on the pegs. So now that I've got it opened up, we're going to go take a closer look at the figure. And looking at the figure out of the packaging, I gotta say this is just a beautifully painted and sculpted figure. This is the third version of Ree-Yees that we've had released to us, including the one from the vintage line. And overall, this one is my favorite by far. I think the head sculpting is much better, where the Power of the Force 2 version looked more like a puppet. This one seems much more accurate, more lifelike, if you will, in the painting and the skin detail. The coat has nice paint detailing to it. And since the figure still had a lot of articulation at the time, you really don't have a lot in the way of paint runs where you know, the colors are different from the hands to the jacket and so on. It's got a couple nice belt pouches painted in on the figure. That is different for this release of the figure. I'll do a comparison here in a little bit. And then looking down at the legs and the feet, that's my only real problem with this figure. Since there isn't any ankle articulation, his left foot, as you can see, sits out pretty weird, very crooked. Still seems to stand fine, so it doesn't affect that. I so badly just want to twist that flat. And Iron Gary, this one's for you. Here we're going to take a look at all three versions of the figures released. Not in much detail, just want to show you how they compare to each other. This one was pretty easy to do because I didn't have to dig that far in my shelf for it. On the left, of course, we got the vintage version. I forget what year that is released, but as I edit the video, I'll add the date below. As you can see, that has a much more, brown, burgundy paint job to the jacket. We won't go into much on the sculpting because the figures were what they were at the time, so not going to compare to modern figures in that regard. Next up here in the middle, we got the Power of the Force 2 version that was released in 1998. There's a very nice update to the vintage version. Obviously, being 1998, the figures still had some of the over-exaggerated muscles at the time. His jacket and pants, while still brown in color, seems to have a metallic finish or something to it. Very shiny. And then, of course, here on the right side, we've got the 2013 release. I feel like it's much more appropriately scaled in terms of the muscle build of the figure and such. I like the paint job of the coat better on this. And as you can see, they've also added in the pouch details to the belt line as well of the figure that we didn't have on the previous releases. So Ree-Yees does come with two weapons. First up, you got this little bit of a larger one here. It's bigger than this one anyways, not that huge of a gun. But some nice detailing in the molding. Same with this smaller version over here. I can't say whether these are screen accurate or not. I don't recall him using any weapons in the movie. But anyways, you do have them here for some added playability. As far as the articulation goes in this figure, you do have some movement in the head. Some side to side, up, down. Little ball jointed there. At the shoulders, both of them do go up and spin around at that shoulder joint. At his elbow here, you got to bend back and forth, and also it pivots there, side to side. And at the wrist, as I already showed you since it fell off, swings around. As for the legs, they do come forward and back, no problem. At the kneecaps here, you get that bend backwards and just a tiny bit forward. And then inside that joint as well, the leg does swing around. Nothing at the ankles or feet. I miss the standard line coming with this many points of articulation. Overall, it's a good looking figure and a great update to the previous releases of Ree-Yees. Alright, so that wraps up this look at Ree-Yees. What are your thoughts on this figure? For me, you know, oddly, for some reason, it's always been a favorite of mine since I was a kid even. I remember getting that one. I lived in Vegas at the time. I remember picking him up and was excited when he came out on the Power of the Force 2 card line, the freeze frame version. And then even this one, a fantastic figure. And be happy to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Thanks for watching.